Actor Taylor Kinney developed his interest in acting later than most stars, but his late start didn't stop him from finding success in TV and film. You could say his career really caught fire. Taylor Kinney was raised alongside 3 siblings, 1 older brother and 2 younger. According to Kinney's interview with Assignment X, their relationship with one another was mostly chaotic, which made a good practice for his future role on Chicago Fire. He explained, "It's just kind of busting each other's balls. You talk and you get into fights and you do all that at a firehouse. It's the same thing." Despite his dynamic with his siblings, Kinney seemed a fairly normal kid growing up. He attended Lancaster Mennonite School in Pennsylvania, and his school's stand-in superintendent told Daily Mail that he had a stellar reputation as a student. According to the educator, Kinney didn't take a liking to drama. Instead, he spent a fair amount of time attending religious lessons and studying the Bible. Additionally, he thrived in sports, particularly volleyball. It goes without saying that the administrator was happy with how far the Chicago Fire actor had come. An alumnus of the same school, Eric Kennel, who happened to be part of the volleyball team at the same time as Kinney, corroborated the administrator's sentiment. In addition to being a particularly fine athlete, Kennel stated his friend's demeanor was always laid back, despite having a reputation as a ladies' man. The pair apparently didn't stay in touch after high school, and for that reason, Kinney's subsequent stardom came as a shock to his old classmate. Growing up, Kinney had a lot of interests. He told NBC News that he and his brothers were particularly enthralled by fast vehicles like the hoverboards from Back to the Future Part 2.
I remember when that film came out, my older brother tried to make one.
Additionally, they loved the cars in the racing game Ayrton Senna's Super Monaco GP2. When he actually got to visit Monte Carlo as an adult, his childhood memories made the experience all the more special. Another interest from his childhood that played out when he was much older was boxing. He explained to Assignment X that his grandfather loved the sport, and that as a child he'd root for fighters on television who were nearly down and out to make a surprise comeback. It wasn't until years later that he learned to appreciate the physical challenge of the sport, when he himself picked it up in college. He explained, "I started out doing 3-minute rounds, and by the end of that 3rd round, you could barely put your hands up." In addition to boxing matches, Kinney spent his childhood watching Married with Children. In an interview with TV Guide, he even claimed that Katie Seagal's character Peggy Bundy was his first celebrity crush.
I never understood why Al didn't want to sleep with her, because I always did.
Unknown to him at the time, his own acting bug would bite in college. While he barely took an interest in the arts when he was in high school, the same could not be said for his time as a business major at West Virginia University. In his 2nd year, Kinney chose an elective theater course that would unexpectedly birth his love for acting. Speaking with USA Today, the Least Among Saints actor explained that the course grabbed his attention more than any other class he'd taken, and even though he dropped out in his junior year, those lessons have evidently left a permanent impact on the man he is today. Speaking with NBC, Kinney revealed his very first on-screen job was acting in a Foo Fighters music video. He was cast in a scene where he proposed to his on-screen partner, though Kinney would later learn that a majority of the parts he shot didn't make it to the final cut. He had a few theories about why his scenes weren't included. One was that his on-screen kiss was simply terrible, but the other was a bit more involved.
Yeah, I had to get a cab and then I ran out of money. I hitchhiked to the set and I was sunburnt, so I got cut out of most of this video.
In the same interview, he explained that his first day job was just as underwhelming as the results of that video shoot. He explained that he caddied at a golf course, where he carried clubs for old ladies who weren't particularly familiar with the sport. Despite these tribulations, his paychecks were enough to order a pizza and rent a movie from Blockbuster, so his hard work did have some minor rewards. Kinney's first time on the small screen was as Luke Gianni, the on-screen son of star Bo Derek's character on the soap opera Fashion House. Speaking to My Fan Base, Kinney said he had fond memories of working with Derek, recalling, "It was great working with Bo Derek. Fashion House was one of my first big jobs, and she was like a mom to me for the first 6 months." Admittedly, he hadn't registered how much of a celebrity Derek was until they embarked on a media tour, and he got to witness her fans lose their cool around her firsthand. Kinney recalled how, walking into interviews, many of the radio hosts and journalists became visibly nervous and claimed that they had been lifelong fans of the veteran actress. Back home, his own claim to glory had begun to take shape. Up until then, his mother hadn't had a grasp of the career path he'd chosen. He'd often kept the finer details of what he was doing away from her, just in case he didn't make it. She started to take note when Fashion House aired on television. Speaking with NBC Universal in 2017, he recalled his mother's initial disbelief at seeing her son on TV every night. For her sake, we hope that shock has worn off in the nearly 2 decades since Fashion House first aired. After Kinney got his first major paycheck from Fashion House, he went on a bit of a spending spree. At NBC Universal's press day, he recalled spending $90,000 on sushi alone and called himself an idiot for making such impulsive purchases. By the time he hit his mid-20s, Kinney's lacking money management caught up to him. Before long, he was right back where he started, flat broke. As stressful as this situation may have been for the young star, it did inspire him to get back to work. He began auditioning again, but unfortunately his efforts to pick himself back up coincided with a writer's strike, which made his financial situation even worse. Luckily, Kinney did land a few gigs, making appearances on episodes of What About Brian and Bones, before landing a consistent role as Glenn Morrison in the NBC medical drama Trauma. He eventually made the money he lost back, earning enough to purchase a 2-bedroom near West Side condominium for $1.2 million, according to the Chicago Tribune. Compared to the long dry spell Kinney had after a fashion house, landing the role of Mason Lockwood on the Vampire Diaries was as easy as pie. Describing his audition process, Kinney recalled to Collider that it only took 3 days after reading for the part before he was on set shooting. He explained that he'd wanted to play a fantasy-type character for a long time, so getting the opportunity to play a werewolf was a big deal for the rising star. However, Kinney's initial day on the job wasn't a smooth sail, as it took him a while to learn the ins and outs of the show's characters and lore. He told the publication, "I remember my first day on set, looking around and having pretty awkward questions about who's a vampire and whether I would know if they're a vampire and if they have any powers that I don't know about. It was trial by fire, but I got so into it." According to Deadline, with an overall audience of 3.4 million glued to the screen at the time Kinney's first episode aired in September 2010, he tapped into a teen drama audience that significantly grew his popularity. He may have graced the small screen as a firefighter for years, but while he lived in San Diego, Kinney actually needed the fire department's help when his cottage, built in the 1940s, caught fire. Kinney happened to be inside when he got the alert, and if it hadn't been for a friendly neighbor, he could have been seriously hurt.
This guy comes rapping on the window in the kitchen, and he bangs on the window. He's like, your house is on fire. Like, look.
Upon stepping outside to survey the damage, Kinney found the entire roof of his bungalow ablaze. Kinney would later become a fire safety advocate, urging people to ensure their homes were fitted with smoke alarms. He worked to spread knowledge on alarm installation, positioning, and frequency of use as a precaution in the event that a fire occurred. It was a match made in heaven, given his own personal mishap and how synonymous his image had become with fire rescues, thanks to Chicago Fire. When Kinney's acting trail on television briefly went cold after his time on Fashion House came to a close, he took to the big screen. Kinney portrayed a small role in the little-known 2007 snowboarding film White Air and played the role of Bill Jameson in Furnace. Even after he returned to TV, he continued to take movie roles between shoots. Zero Dark 30, an account of the capture of Al-Qaeda founder Osama bin Laden, took him on a trip across the Middle East and North Africa. He told People that while he hadn't initially planned to travel so much, he made good use of his time on the other side of the world to see as many places as possible.
Made a trip to Egypt to see the pyramids. We went to Israel. We went to Tel Aviv.
Zero Dark 30 came under fire for its storyline, but it made a financially successful box office debut. Considering he soon starred in another box office hit, The Other Woman, starring Cameron Diaz, Kate Upton, and Leslie Mann, we assume his association with the more politically driven thriller did little to harm his career. Kinney was nominated for a People's Choice Award for Favorite Dramatic TV Actor for his portrayal of Lieutenant Kelly Severide on Chicago Fire 3 consecutive years. In 2016, while up against Grey's Anatomy actors Jesse Williams and Justin Chambers, Scott Foley from the multiple award-winning hit series Scandal, and Empire star Terrence Howard, Kinney won. In his acceptance speech, he recognized the genius of the show's creator, the cast and crew's industrious nature, and its legion of fans who tuned in. He gushed, "Although having Dick Wolf at the helm of your ship is huge, it doesn't guarantee success. We work our tails off, but what makes the show a success, what makes it work, is the audience." Kinney went on to recognize his mom, who was in attendance, as well as all the work done daily by real-life firefighters, without whom the show wouldn't be possible. His then-partner, Lady Gaga, was absent, but she received a nod as well. In an ironic case of life imitating art, Kinney, whose first job on screen was a music video proposal, met his former fiancée, Lady Gaga, on the set of her You and I video shoot. Reportedly, it was quite an eventful shoot, as the actor revealed on Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen that Lady Gaga actually smacked him for unexpectedly giving her a kiss. Despite their relationship's tumultuous start, the chemistry between the duo afterward was undeniable, and in February 2015, Lady Gaga announced her engagement to Kinney in a brief Instagram post. The caption read, "He gave me his heart on Valentine's Day, and I said yes." Later that year, Kinney told Cohen that they were yet to find a suitable wedding date or location.
We're so busy. We've been engaged for less than a year, so we've been talking about it, whether it's New York, Los Angeles, destination place, so we don't have an exact date yet.
Sadly, Kinney and Lady Gaga never made it to the altar. In her documentary Gaga, 5'2", the celebrated singer revealed she was once again single around the time she booked the lead in A Star Is Born. Nevertheless, Gaga and Kinney maintained a cordial relationship. Taylor Kinney reportedly took an indefinite sabbatical from Chicago Fire in January 2023 and is not likely to return for the show's 12th season. According to Deadline, Kinney stepped away from the small screen for private reasons. His last appearance was on the 14th episode of season 11, Run Like Hell, where Kinney's beloved character Kelly Severide and Mouch joined forces to crack yet another arson case. Kinney's absence on the show was presented as departure to attend an arson investigation program on the March 2023 episode Damage Control. While Kinney made no public comments about the state of his comeback, he paid homage to his co-star Treat Williams, who unfortunately died in a June 2023 motorcycle accident. In a statement to People, he said, "My thoughts and prayers are with Treat's family. He played my father on Chicago Fire and was a father figure to everyone on set. I'll always relish our conversations and his uncanny ability to light up a room. We all send love. He will be missed."